and the claim that I'm refuting is that robotic missions to Mars are better than human missions. The advocates' three supporting claims are robots focus only on their tasks they are programmed to do and they do not get distracted. Second claim is that robotic missions offer more benefits to society. And 3, human missions are more costly than robotic missions. So for the first secondary claim, robots focus on only their tasks they are programmed to do and they do not get distracted. The advocate states evidence from Carl Sagan, an astrophysicist, and he says that robots are entirely capable of answering, as well as astronauts can, all the questions we need to ask. This is true, but according to the article on racetomars.ca, precise and highly accurate robots are extremely effective when accomplishing specific and pre-programmed tasks, unless provided with poor instruction from a human. So here you can see that it is true that robots are capable of what humans can do, but robots are programmed by humans and take direction from humans. The advocate then goes on with reasoning, saying that using humans for a quest for knowledge can easily turn into a quest for a bigger ego in seeing if it can actually be done. You cannot just send anyone to space, basically. They have to be a highly qualified professional. So I don't necessarily see it as being an ego issue. It's just maybe they might be proud or really interested in their job, and I don't really think there's time for ego issues when you're in space and there's a possibility of you dying. So let's see, I have racetomars.ca says that humans can make important decisions and use ingenuity to perform functions on the fly. They can gather more data and respond better to the information in real time. So rather than waiting for communication to reach the robot in space, humans can actually do it right there. Secondary claim number 2, robotic missions offer more benefits to society. The advocate does not really cite any authoritative or professional evidence stating why robotic missions offer more benefits to society. He does use some reasoning saying that space exploration increases our knowledge about our solar system. This is obviously true, but I think that both humans and robots can help in benefiting our society by gathering information. The advocate then goes into how sending humans to space would take 20 more years to acquire information than if we sent robots. Again, there is no professional or authoritative evidence that stated that the statement was true. Finally, the advocate goes into how sending robots would save the government money, where using the saved money could be used in alternative ways to improve society. So the advocate goes from benefiting society to improving society. So there's a definition discrepancy there. And the last claim says that human missions are more costly than robotic missions. Here the advocate states that Space.com estimates the cost of the rover mission to be $600 million and the cost of the Phoenix mission to be about $400 million. That is over $200 million difference between the cost of human missions and unmanned missions. However, Dr. Friedman, the executive director of the Planetary Society, states that the emplacement of robotic Mars outposts can reduce the cost of sending humans to Mars. So cost is determined by the requirements of the mission. RaceToMars.ca also says that scientific gains of one human mission would be worth that of 10 robot-only missions. The advocate then goes on to another claim saying that another cost could be the cost of human lives that are lost when attempting these missions. The advocate does not really use any type of authoritative warrants or backing for this claim. Instead, he uses a personal example of a father of an astronaut who died in the Columbia Space Shuttle accident in 2003. Instead, I think a statistical approach would have been more sufficient. For example, Rick Hawk, a former astronaut who flew in 3 shuttle missions in the 1980s, says that 18 of 430 humans who have flown in space have died. That works out to a fatality rate of just over 4%. So, in conclusion, why not send both humans and robots to space? Humans can respond quickly to certain situations while gathering info. The cost can be reduced, and finally, with the control of humans, with no time delays, robots can explore areas first to ensure safety for the astronauts. Thank you.
All right, signposting's really solid. The explanation on the first point's pretty good. The comparison between pre-programmed tasks and others I thought was okay. I thought that you could develop that argument a little bit more. It actually does come up again later on because you talk about like some statistical ratios about what we'd be able to get. I think there's a misunderstanding of what the ego issue is here. I'm not sure they're talking about individual egos, but national egos. But the decision-making process of humans versus robots in the real-time thing, you had a very good quote on that point, and I thought that that definitely applied to the issues that the advocate brought up. Signposting, again, is good on the next point. Let me see. The claim about the 20-year time frame being asserted is okay, but I'm not exactly sure, for instance, that the two choices are mutually exclusive. In other words, do we have to forego robotic expeditions while we're waiting for the human expeditions? I think that is maybe the argument that you ought to be making on that particular point. On the third point, I like the explanation that you had on the cost comparisons. I was a little confused because you mentioned 2 missions, and I wasn't sure if one was robotic and one was human, and they're estimating the cost. But you had a great quote there that talked about how the results of human missions are likely to be, 10 to 1 is more substantial and significant. It sounds a little conclusionary, but at least it gives us a ratio to compare to what the advocate was talking about. All right, thank you. Edmundo.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
How many people in the groups again for the debate?
4. 2 on each side.